He found a wounded alien, not knowing she was the most feared warrior. The crash had lit up the night sky like a second sunrise. Evan had been hiking through the outskirts of the forest, his backpack stuffed with field gear and an old first aid kit. The storm had just broken, leaving the ground slick with rain, and the air heavy with the smell of pine and scorched metal. Following the smoke trail wasn't smart. He knew that, but curiosity gnawed at him harder than caution ever could. The wreckage was half buried in the mud, its metal shell still hissing from the heat. Amid twisted fragments of alien alloy lay a figure. Tall, sleek, her body armored in strange silver plates. She was sprawled on the ground, one arm bent unnaturally, a faint purple sheen of blood pooling beneath her. She was breathing. Barely. Evan hesitated. This wasn't some injured deer or lost hiker. She was alien, clearly not human, and every survival instinct screamed at him to back away. Instead, he knelt. "Hey, you're alive," he muttered, not expecting an answer. Her eyelids fluttered open, revealing eyes like molten gold. They narrowed sharply at him, as though assessing every inch of his face. Her lips moved, forming words in a language he couldn't understand, harsh and musical at the same time. "I don't know what you're saying," Evan said, pulling off his jacket and gently pressing it against her side to slow the bleeding. Her body went tense at his touch, and for a moment he thought she might lash out. But then her strength seemed to drain again, and she let him work. It took nearly 20 minutes to get her to the small cabin he used for weekend retreats. He laid her on the bed, wiping the mud and blood from her armor. Up close, she was terrifying. Long, powerful limbs, muscles that spoke of years of training, and scars along her neck that looked more like battle marks than accidents. Yet, unconscious like this, she seemed almost fragile. She woke in the middle of the night. One moment, Evan was dozing in a chair. The next, he was staring down the barrel of a sleek alien blade pressed his throat. Her voice was sharp now, the language still foreign, but laced with demand. "Easy, easy," Evan said, raising his hands. "I'm not your enemy." She stared hard at him, golden eyes burning into his, and something in her expression shifted, as if she decided he wasn't worth killing. She lowered the blade, but didn't let it out of her grip. "You saved me," she said slowly in accented but clear English. "You speak my language? I learned. Long ago." She glanced around the cabin. "Where am I?" "In the mountains. Earth." Her jaw tightened at that, and she tried to sit up, but winced in pain. "You shouldn't move. You're hurt badly." "I have been hurt before," she said, her tone flat but proud. "This is nothing." He almost laughed. "Nothing? You were bleeding out." She looked at him again, studying him like she couldn't figure him out. "You are not afraid of me." "Should I be?" Her lips curved into something that was almost a smirk. "Yes." Over the next 2 days, she recovered faster than Evan thought possible. The strange cuts closed within hours, and her strength returned in sharp bursts. She refused to give her real name, instead telling him to call her Vera. He learned bits and pieces, never the full story. She had been shot down. There were others hunting her. She was, in her words, a warrior of no equal. Evan didn't doubt it. On the third night, he heard movement outside. At first, he thought it was an animal. Then the shadows shifted and he saw the glint of metal. Strangers moving silently through the treeline, their shapes barely human. Vera appeared beside him without a sound, fully armored now, blade in hand. "They have found me," she said quietly. "And they'll kill you?" "They will try," she said, almost amused. The next few minutes blurred into chaos. The attackers came in fast, their weapons glowing faintly blue. Evan hit the floor as Vera moved. No, unleashed. She was nothing like the injured woman he'd carried days ago. She was a storm wrapped in silver, moving with deadly grace, her blade cutting arcs of light through the dark. Every strike was precise, every movement born of years of training. The attackers didn't stand a chance. When the last one fell, silence returned, except for Evan's ragged breathing. Vera stood in the center of the clearing, her armor streaked with alien blood, her chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. The golden fire in her eyes hadn't dimmed. "You weren't kidding about the no equal part," he said finally. She turned to him, and for a moment, the warrior mask slipped. There was something softer there, gratitude. "Maybe you saved my life," she said, "and now I have saved yours. We're even." "Even?" He laughed, still shaken. "I'm not sure anything's even after that." Vera stepped closer, her gaze holding his. "Then I owe you still. And in my world, a warrior's debt is never left unpaid." Before he could respond, she pressed something into his hand, a small metallic crest, etched with symbols he couldn't read. "If you are ever in danger," she said, "show this to the stars, and I will come." And then, without another word, she vanished into the forest, swallowed by the night. Evan stood there for a long time, the crest heavy in his palm, wondering just how close he'd come to being part of something far bigger than Earth itself. One thing was certain. He would never forget the night he found a wounded alien and learned she was the most feared warrior in the galaxy.